All right, so we've come to the last trip that we've taken in this month of trips. We went to Munich and Salzburg 2 weekends ago. So we, I guess, are pretty good at short-term planning. We went down and bought our tickets Tuesday for a train leaving Wednesday night, and we just kind of pulled the trip together. We got a couple people to help us out getting some hotels, and we booked an overnight train, which is something I guess we really don't do in the U.S. But it's an overnight train. They give you a bed to sleep in, and you go to sleep in Rome, and you wake up in Munich, I guess, or wherever you're going. But well, I guess that's the way it's supposed to work. We stayed up and played cards for most of the night, but it was a pretty neat experience. I liked it. I was thinking, maybe I should look into being able to do that in the U.S. That's a cool way to get around. And I'm like, oh wait, I own a plane. For any trip of that length, I would just fly and make it in 2 hours. But anyway, let's see. We got to Munich, and it was the Feast of All Saints. So we were going around immediately and looking for a church that had a mass that we could go to. We checked into our hotel, which was pretty nice. It was definitely a cheaper one, but it had free wireless internet access, which we've been craving while we're here. So it was pretty nice. It got the job done, and so we checked in there anyway, and then we went around and found a mass, which I thought was in German the whole time until afterwards someone told me no, it was in some Eastern language that no one knew and we couldn't follow along with. Doesn't matter. I don't speak any of them, so it worked. Churches there were nice. I'd say never have we been anywhere where we got such a strong reaction to us being in cassocks. There were a bunch of people who said, "Oh, good job, thank you, we need priests," and there were others who were giving these really quizzical looks. And there was one time, it was kind of cold, but it was sunny, so people were out in this cafe all in the sun, and they were all kind of facing the same way so they'd get the sun. And we were walking, and then just in unison, all their heads just turned and follow us. It was kind of weird. So it was. I think it was a bit odd, but I think it was good. I mean, it's good. It's one of the reasons we do it, is to get people to think about, seeing people outside, seeing people in collars outside the church. So I think it was a good thing. We let's see, we got some food. We went up to the English Gardens, which was beautiful. It's kind of like Munich Central Park, and we got. They're big on pretzels and sausage and different meats type stuff. So we got some ribs and got to do that. And let's see, yeah, it was a good change of food, we'll say, from pasta every night to sausage and meat. It was good though. All over Milan, I could not find a good bratwurst. Or they didn't sell bratwurst at all. At least none that I can find in any of the places we went to. So that was pretty much the extent of the first day we were there. We went and toured around the English Gardens for a long time. We went to checked into our hotel, checked out a bunch of churches, went to dinner at a famous place called the Hofbrauhaus. So we went there, and it was pretty neat. The second day, we decided, well, we should probably go around and do something. Well, first of all, we had to check out of our hotel that night because we could get a room the first night, but not the second night. So we went down, and we had to find another hotel. So that took up the first part of the day, was going around trying to find a hotel. Then there was a concentration camp there called Dachau, and people said we should go see it. It was pretty nice. So Zach and I went up to see it. Scott and Tim had already seen Auschwitz, so they went and did something else. So we went up to Dachau, and it was actually it was a neat experience. I'm glad I did it, and it was pretty appropriate that we were doing it on All Souls Day. I think that added a lot to it. It turns out that this was the camp that they sent most of the priests that were captured by the Nazis to. So they had a bunch of bunkhouses or whatever they call them that were dedicated solely to the priests, and they had an exhibit of all the different vessels that the priests had to make there, and the vestments that they had to make because they couldn't get anything brought into them. But it was definitely a neat experience to be there, especially on All Souls Day, and a day when we're supposed to pray for all the people who died. And there's actually two saints that came out of that concentration camp, a cardinal and a priest. So it was neat to do, really neat to do. And after that, we came back, and as a change of pace, we went to the BMW Museum, which was really cool. The museum itself was kind of small. It was neat to see, but they had near the museum is their showroom, which was absolutely fabulous. The architecture was just out of this world. It was they used it as an arena for the Olympics that were held in Munich, and then BMW either sponsored it or bought it afterwards and turned it into their showroom, and it was just awesome. I guess you always have the option of going and picking up your new BMW straight out of the factory, and they'll drive it into this showroom and take it up a car elevator, and you can pick it up there and have someone show you all the features of it. And we saw a couple cars getting ready to be given to their new owners, and then on the bottom floor they had a bunch of exhibits on the different innovative stuff that BMW's doing. They're doing a lot with fuel economy and efficiency, and trying to improve that in their cars. And there was a simulator where you could drive a car, or drive a simulation of a car with the X drive on it, their four-wheel drive system, and it would show you how their four-wheel drive system compares to another one, and different stuff like that, and different touchable things. And they had a bunch of cars down there where they were listing all the options. There was like a over $100,000 7 Series that had, no joke, an office in the back seat. It was, I mean, you wouldn't need an office if you had this car, which is why I guess you could afford to pay for it. That was pretty neat to see. We went by the gift shop and got a couple of things, and let's see, ran out for, I forget where we went to dinner that night, but we went out and got some dinner, and that was our last night in Munich. Was pretty much taken up by the BMW museum. And then the next day we hopped a train for Salzburg in Austria, and Salzburg, everyone says it's such a neat city, and it's really, really beautiful. It's up in the mountains. It's bordered on all sides by mountains. In fact, part of it's actually like dug into a mountain, and they have to send guys up to go clean the mountain so that they don't get crushed by rocks. I didn't realize it, but it's the birthplace of Mozart. So they had a bunch of Mozart memorial stuff, and which was pretty neat. We went to Mass on Sunday, and it was the music at Mass was really good. They had like a string quartet and a couple singers, and it was one of those, like, the priest would say his part and then they'd sit down for like the Kyrie, because it took a while, but it was really, really beautiful. It was actually in German this time, so we could follow along, if not understand what they were saying, because we got a book that has the Mass in a bunch of different languages. And then let's see, we went up and checked out a fortress at the top of the hill, and we went to, oh man, why can't I remember where we went now? Anyway, this fortress at the top of the hill was cool. The Archbishop of Salzburg used to be like the Prince of Salzburg as well, and he had this built, and it would be where he would go, supposedly as a place of refuge, but the place was so decked out that if he didn't live there, I don't know why. It was pretty neat, and they had a couple museums in there that were cool. And let's see, then we just kind of walked down, grabbed some food, and waited to catch our train back to Rome, the overnight back to Rome, which was probably a bit less hectic than the first one. We just kind of got on and went to sleep, to be honest, and woke up in Rome. And that's the Milan trip, and that is the end of the October month of trips. The next weekend we stayed in Rome and saw a bunch of sites there, and a bunch of the churches that we had failed to see so far. So let's see, tomorrow is Friday. Tomorrow we're going to Assisi, and I think that might be it in terms of planned trips, though if there's something else coming up, I'll be sure to document it. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.